Hey George, let's tell him a story.
Wait, hold on a second. I should get the saxophone.
Oh no, let's do that in a minute. We'll feature the saxophone.
Well, I wasn't so much going to play it because that's when I first met you.
Oh, that's true.
When I showed up with the saxophone to maybe play at the Cosmic Pizza. I didn't even know you.
Some show, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It was Milligan that got us together.
Well, the first thing was I just approached you because you had the Artista jacket on.
Yeah.
And I knew the original Artista guys, you know, Kelly and Mouse and Arab
Right.
and a lot of those guys. And Kesey had an original Artista jacket. And they were, there weren't a lot of them.
No,
there weren't
special
many
little
about
club,
them.
you know.
Yeah, it was a real honor to be given an Artista jacket. So when I saw you with that,
Took me a while to earn mine.
First I looked at it and I thought, shit, is that an Artista jacket? I haven't seen one of those in 40 or 50 years. Because I didn't know that it had continued and there were still people doing it. You know, there were people in my generation when I knew about it. So I approached you and I said, hey, stand still. Well, that's an Artista jacket. And that was when we first came to know each other. And then I told you what I was doing. Well, come play with me. So
we had met previous on different stages when I had you and Babs out at various shows.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I never talked to you before.
No, I never knew you as who you were. You were just one of the
Yeah.
functionaries there.
Yeah.
These things, doing stuff, singing stuff,
Yeah,
talking
so
stuff like everybody else does.
We never really connected.
No,
But it was later that we connected and started playing music together, and it was just fun,
true.
you know. And then
He lets me play. That's my criteria.
no, he does great. It's some psychedelic stuff, and our whole gig is we're doing it in the moment, and it's all about the crowd. We make the song up as we're going, so the spacey stuff is all in the dead tradition. So it fits perfect. But let's tell him what. One day George shows up over at my house and says, "Hey, guess what I found? And let's go do this." And I said, "What?" But after about 3 days and 3 different times coming over to my house, I think it was, and talking to me, I was like, "Okay, let's go do it." And we.
You're talking about the bus.
Yeah, the bus.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I didn't so much find the bus as the bus found me. People that had finally got this bus up to Randy's.
It's an amazing story about the bus.
This bus was found abandoned. It's a 1937. We thought 39, but it turns out to be a 37. But they're the same model. International. So far, we're talking further. Gillig body school bus, same thing. So here's this bus, and it's like a clone of Kesey's old bus. Only it's. I had heard the story that it was found half buried in the Sacramento Delta, and so I'm imagining a swamp, and that it's 4 feet deep in a swamp, and probably the bottom half is rusted away, and it's like you see those Volkswagen bus bodies on top of a bus. It's like a half bus, and the rest of it, you pick it up and there's nothing there, a spot of rust. But actually, it turned out that it was dry. It was kind of just in loose dirt that had sloughed off a dike where it was dry.
So it kind of preserved it.
It absolutely preserved it. It turned out when we're still cleaning it and sandblasting it, but the whole chassis and all of the running gear stuff, all of that is virtually rust-free.
Wow. That's just
so we're
amazing.
sandblasting and painting, and a lot of it put back together. We're just about ready to roll it. It'll be rolling next time I put in another week.
Huh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, so it's kind of a journey that started off. We first set off, went down to LA, tried to get some funding for it so we could kick it off. We were somewhat successful, but it kept each time that we found a lead. Yeah, every time we found a lead, it pointed us in the right direction.
I think they gave us gas money.
We would go a little bit further.
Didn't they even give us gas money?
And on the ride back from LA is where we finally got it solid. And we were talking about everything, and we came up with the slogan.
It's also when we saw the bus for the first time. We went to Randy's
on the way
mountains.
there, we came up with the slogan, going back to the original Merry Prankster slogan, finding the cool place. And so it was there where it started formulating. I think I laughed the whole way back because I was so excited about the adventure. And so for me. And then we went to this mysterious place out in the woods where all these buses were piled out everywhere, and there it was.
This is Randy Turley's place where he lives. The biggest and only building on his property is the outhouse.
Yeah, it's all buses. Everyone
He
sleeps everywhere.
lives in buses and a couple of trailers.
So you can see clips there where we've uncovered it.
In his current residence bus, there's a library that would put many an English professor to shame.
I think it was his birthday too, and we had his party
I
there.
believe you're right, yes.
Yeah.
And among all these buses is this still yellow, still with black trim.
Let me point this out. When we showed up there, everybody thought the band was going to be playing in Chico, so there was a riot going on in town. People were looking all over where we were going to be jamming that night, and really we were hanging out at the bus place with the brand new bus Farthur. So it really made quite the escapade as people were following us.
It was only a rumor. We had never said.
We never said anything. It's just
somebody saw you.
It's just the way it went.
Well, I'm going to Chico.
Yeah. No.
Hey, Normal's going to come play in Chico.
But we just
We're
figured
gonna
out
buy tickets.
we'll roll with it and have a good time.
Somebody thinks, well, shit, if nobody else will sell tickets, I'll sell tickets.
Yeah, these pranksters, I swear.
Yeah, I tell you. Never trust a prankster.
So
except when it really matters.
We were there a couple days, and then we took off back, and then George basically kept going down every couple of weeks, and every time he got a break, and he would do a little bit more work on it. And while that was going on, we kept having meetings with people in Florida and all over the place about the new project.
I think we talked to half the wrong money people in the country.
Oh, well, you got to weed through all these people to find the right people, you know.
Yeah, we just let it come to you.
It was just one, and I think I talked. It was like 3 different movie companies were on there talking to us, and then blah 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 blah. You know, we had different sponsors telling us what they were going to do for us, but in the end, we knew it was just us having to bootstrap this thing and make it happen. So we just kept right on going. George was down there working on it. We decided to really kick it off. They had pulled a fender off of it, and we took this fender and took it to the show.
We took the whole front end, everything off to just the frame.
Yeah.
Everything from the firewall cowl forward. We took everything off.
So they sandblasted everything. They've rebuilt the front wheels. They've rebuilt the back.
All the parts,
You know.
sandblast cleaned all the parts.
Right.
Took everything apart.
Now,
It's going to be like
so we took this fender to the Newberry Festival over the summer, and
over in Lapine, Oregon.
yeah, over in Lapine, Oregon, with Lucas Nelson over there. So we lined up at one point, and I had.
What do you mean we took it there, man? Don't you remember that was tied to the
Yeah,
top
George
of
had
the
to tie it
car?
on top of his car, like I barely made it there. So I had the
man,
truck piled
it was-
all the gear, but
It was like
he
sailing.
made it.
It was like sailing into the wind with that thing tied on top of my car. It just isn't the shape that fits on top of a
No
small
doubt.
car.
Well, we got beside the bandstand, and we had planned that we were going to have this little surprise parade type thing that we just bang right in the middle of a little flash parade. And so we threw these little firecracker things out, the roadie did, and they kind of misfired, didn't really go off, but we jumped out there anyway with the peace flag and this fender and all these paints. And
Yeah, somebody at that festival, one of the guys that was helping put it together, and I wish I could remember his name, but that's not at all unusual. In any case, he was so good as to make the run into town to the store, because he knew where the store was, plus he had the money.
I remember that guy, he was great.
He came back with, 30 or 40 paintbrushes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
jars of all kinds of colors of paint and cans of paint and stuff, and brought all the stuff we needed to do that.
we threw that thing out there right and on this tarp right in front of all the bus fender, and as fast as it got there, and George invited people, all the little kids came running for the paintbrushes, and mom and grandma, and it was really an experience.
I have to admit, at one point I did have to trade brushes with a little girl about 3 years old. She had a big brush like that.
She was going to town.
And she had brown paint. And so I said, okay, I'm going to use that one. You can use this one. And I took the brown paint and gave her some yellow paint and said, you can use this. And she was totally happy to start painting.
There
yellow.
were smiles all around. They were having a great old time, and basically what we were able to take from this was the experience itself, as everyone wanted to be connected to it, and they actually got to go paint on it. So George and me were decided, hey, that's the concept. We're taking the bus all across the country, and everywhere they go, they get a chance to paint on it. So it really becomes that monumental work of art that is this generation's bus. It's not the last bus. It's not the second bus. It's this generation's bus. It's farther. You know, what do you think?
Yeah, and a lot of people, you know, there's more people interested now than then, of course.
Oh,
And
for sure.
a lot of people that are interested have never had a chance to see the old Farthur bus.
Right,
And
well,
so they don't really know what it looked like.
And
so,
I think it doesn't even really matter, because that was then, and that experience was then.
yeah,
you
it's not the experience that I'm trying to recreate. It's just I want to show people a replica and say, this is what it looked like.
Right.
This is what.
But I think
this
it's
is what
more
we
the-
did then, and now what we're doing with it is an entirely different thing. It's an
But
entirely
it's taken it down to the
different
root of the
process.
humanity.
Yes,
Is what it
exactly.
actually calls to people, what it is about the magic. It's not any single thing. It becomes a platform, an
Right.
icon.
Yeah, but the icon isn't the thing that's important. What's important is the effect that the icon has on
Exactly.
the people.
They want to interact and touch it, and because
that's why I chose to do this particular form of the bus.
it brings the whole culture together, bonds them as a unified object that they shared in creating. And that's the whole message of the generation, is participation. If we,
Another thing, quite frankly, is that people identify me with that bus.
that is
And-
it.
and if I
It's
can-
George's bus.
So if I can, well, even the old original, the very first one,
Right.
I can show them that, you know, we still have that same spirit. This is what that has evolved into.
Speaking of that, I mean, on the show, we're going to cover a lot of different aspects, and I've had the pleasure of hanging out with George and really picking his brain and getting a lot of information, and I've been able to document a lot of it.